Well, I have to tell you, I think that Jon Meacham had a very interesting and insightful op-ed in the New York Times a few days ago, where he distinguished between those people who were trying to build this country and those people who were trying to destroy this country. The fact is that Richard Stockton was a patriot who was a signer of the Declaration of Independence, but he was also a slave owner. We don't countenance people who own slaves in any way. It's an awful, ugly mark on the history of our country. But what we also know is that those men and women who signed, those men who signed the Declaration of Independence were moving our country in the right direction towards liberty, towards freedom, and they probably moved us a little bit too slowly, but at least they moved us in the right direction. The distinction I would make is between folks like Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson and Jefferson Davis. They were trying to tear down this country. When the rest of the country wanted to take the ugly mark of slavery and racism off of our country, they were fighting and killing people to keep it. I think that's a big distinction between someone like Robert E. Lee and Richard Stockton. And so I have concerns that we don't go overboard on this. Remember that Thomas Jefferson was a slave owner, George Washington was a slave owner, James Madison was a slave owner, as was Richard Stockton. I think we need to look at the totality of what they did and what they were dedicating their life to. Stockton was dedicating his life to having a freer country full with liberty and opportunity, and he owned slaves. That was wrong. But I don't know that what we should be doing is removing every remembrance of anyone who ever participated in that way, regardless of what else they did in their lives. In the end, that's the decision for the people at Stockton University to make. It's not my decision. They can make whatever decision they want. But I want us to be careful about the distinctions we make. Those who were attempting to keep our country in the dark ages, people like Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, Jefferson Davis, those folks, in my view, don't deserve tribute. But the men and women who were trying to move our country in a different direction, I think at least deserve consideration of the totality of their lives. So I hope that as people make these decisions, that's what they do, that they take in the totality of people's lives into consideration. But in the end, for Stockton, this is going to be their decision to make and is their decision to make, and I wouldn't interfere one way or the other.